everyone. Thank you for joining the live. I would have just played a snippet from Infusion XL's It's Our Time, and about a month and a half ago, me and my team, we would have secured the rights to that song, to use that song for my campaign, just because I felt that the words resonated with this campaign, you know, when it speaks about it's our time to make our country shine. And tonight felt like the perfect opportunity to debut that song, especially since we're talking about youth development tonight. And as most know, Infusion XL is made up of a lot of young persons, especially and so as we start to discuss the area of youth development and the arts, I just thought that it was a perfect opportunity to do so. So I'll play the song again just as we give a few more persons a chance to join the live and we get into the session. Like I say, you're going to be hearing that song a whole lot more from me because the lyrics just resonated so much with my campaign, and so I am very pleased to have partnered with Infusion XL and to have that song as part of my campaign. So tonight we're going to be talking about youth development, especially since this week we are celebrating Youth Week, and as many of you know, I would have tried to accommodate the Youth Awards by shifting the time for the live. And unfortunately, the Youth Awards are still going out, but I really want to congratulate all the nominees and all the winners so far for tonight's Youth Awards. That being said, I think it's only right that I start my live sessions by encouraging especially young people, but everyone, to go and register to vote if you are not yet registered, and all of those who are registered, that you go and you update your profile and you get a voter's ID card. While it's not a requirement, it is advised that you do so. It will make voting on election day so much easier. You avoid lengthy lines because they do intend to make that process easier. So let's get right into the discussion about youth development. This week, during Youth Week, there would have been, I believe, the 12th annual conference on youth and development in Angola. And this year, there was a huge focus on the revision of the Angola youth policy. And I think the last youth policy was put in place sometime in 2003. And so the one that we currently have now is a bit outdated. And the Department of Youth and Culture would have undertaken and secured a consultant to update the youth policy. Now, one thing that I absolutely must give credit to the Department of Youth and Culture and this initiative is that they are reaching out to all young people, cross-section of the Angolan youth population, so that they can give their input into a policy that will direct their future, the things that affect them for the next 10, 15 years. So if you have not had a chance as yet to participate in this process, I am advising that either you reach out to the Department of Youth and Culture, or when the opportunity comes around, because I do know that they will be coming to persons, again, not just expecting persons to come to them, but they'll be reaching out to young people in the spaces that they occupy. And so I encourage you to participate in the process. A lot of times persons would say, well, no one asks our opinion, or they do stuff for us without asking us, or they don't quite involve us. But this here is your opportunity to get involved, and so I encourage you to do so. So we will open up for any questions that anyone may have on youth development. Feel free to drop a comment. I'll be happy to answer any of them. The one thing that I will say on youth development is that I don't believe that persons should be producing policies for young people without young persons' involvement. So tonight I really hope for a very interactive session so that the feedback that I get from you would flow into my areas of priority when dealing with youth development. So I'd like to hear what are your priority areas when it comes to youth development in Angola. I can sit here and tell you that whatever young people decide are priority areas for them, I will make them priority areas for me. Because while it is all nice to have a policy being implemented, if it is not a government overall priority, it sometimes gets left by the wayside. And so we want to ensure that the appropriate resources are directed towards youth development in Angola. So coming out of this year's conference, some of the key terms that I would have been hearing would be a focus on mental health, a focus on creating safe spaces for young people. Let's see, what were some of the other areas? Sports development, development of theater arts and the arts in general. And like I started with that song from Infusion Excel, it shows the vast array of talent that our young people in Angola have, whether it's musically, whether it's in the areas of sports, theater, visual arts, and it is incumbent on us to develop their talents, because we have seen what happens when they go out and they represent. We have Hassani representing, we have Zaniel representing, and congrats to you, Zaniel, being one of the 8 fastest men in the world. And you are representing, yes, you're representing Great Britain, but this is putting Angola on the map. And the investment that we put into that, the return on that investment is immeasurable. And so we really do have to prioritize where we spend our limited resources. So, I do know that with the youth policy, there should be a survey that's going to be circulated to get young people's input. Seek that out, seek out that process. And I am certain that your voice will be heard through that policy. On another note of policy in terms of young people hearing their voice, I know that coming up next week, there will be consultations that the government of Angola will be putting on regarding the second phase of the Constitution. And it is imperative that young people go out and let their voices be heard on these issues. I believe the consultations will take place on September 30th, the 1st of October, and the 10th of October, each night at the Church of God of Holiness in Hope Hill at 6 p.m. each evening. Be a part of the process, and it's important that you go at least once, but every night they will be touching on different areas of the constitutional reform that they're going to be putting forward. So make sure that your voice is included. Your views are valid. Young people's views are always valid. As we go through this, you will hear, young people, they don't know what they want. You do know what you want. They say young people are the leaders of tomorrow. No, young people are the leaders of today. As we look around the world, we see so many youth activists agitating for climate change action. You have young females, young women, young people addressing the United Nations on climate change. And that is because those are the issues that are important to us as young people. And I say us with a smile because, again, throughout this week, working with a range of young people from the 12-year-old to the 30-year-old, it was very interesting to see the responses and the reactions of the very, very young to what I call the transitioning youth, which would be persons ages 30 to 35, as we transition out from this youthful stage into full adulthood. And so to have the very, very young say, well, how can you speak for us? And I agree, they have to be able to speak for themselves. So it was really refreshing to be among the very, very young this week, and then to see again on the global and international stage 16 and 17-year-olds agitated for that change. So again, I encourage questions, comments. This has to be a very inclusive process. I'm not going to be telling you what I think my priority areas for youth development are. I really do need young people to tell me what their priority areas are so that I can focus my energies on delivering on that. Hi Renee, I just got your question. What are my thoughts on the banding system at the Alvina Lake Arch Comprehensive School? I believe we may have addressed this during education, but the one thing that I like about youth development is that it is such a cross-cutting area because it touches on every aspect of a young person's life, including education. So, in terms of the banding system, I know there are pros and cons to that system. I do believe that our entire education system needs a revamp. It needs looking into. Currently, the system that we have, I've heard from so many teachers, parents, and students who feel as if though the curriculum is way too heavy, especially at the primary level. However, there is room for concern about the banding system. So again, there are pros and cons, and personally, I think it can be looked into, but it will take a consultative process to do so. In terms of if you speak about changing it, I believe in getting the views of all stakeholders before we make any changes to the system that currently exists. So it would be good to hear from teachers, parents, and students on the banding system, and to ensure that we have a system that works, ultimately, that works for our students, because it is a product that is for them. But we all know that, while the product is for the students, the teachers have to deliver that product. So it's going to be interesting as we go through this campaign process to hear from those different sectors about how they feel about the current system and what improvements they would like to see. So for my take on the banding system, while I appreciate that there can be negative connotations with the banding system, I look at it from the point of view as a student and as a teacher, it may be easier to address the specific needs of students if you have them grouped. I think maybe banding may have a bad connotation, but grouped based on their ability set. What I would like to see is this shift towards more vocational studies and a shift in attitude, because the vocational studies exist. Yes, it may need to be broadened, but a shift in attitude towards the vocational skill areas. Because right now, I think a lot of people consider the vocational area for those who aren't academically inclined, and that is a dangerous mindset, because you can have someone who is very much academically inclined, but at the same time can be a skilled electrician, or a skilled plumber, or carpenter, or whatever it is they want to be, a skilled chef. And I don't think that you should be limited in what areas you can explore just because someone thinks that, well, you're a band 1 student, you should not be going into those technical fields. So it's going to take a shift in our mindset in how we approach vocational studies and education on a whole in April. So, like I was saying, in terms of getting the views, and I think this would lead me into my next announcement, is that coming up soon, I will be heading out into the communities and having some get-to-know-me sessions where persons are invited to come and speak with me, get my views on certain positions. But what I really want to hear is to hear from persons as to what are their views, what are the things that are important to them. Because at the end of the day, this should not be about me. It really should be about what the people of Angola want, what they want to see, because I am representing them. I'm not representing myself, I'm not representing my views, but truly I am representing your views. So I look forward to those sessions. I look forward to those sessions and getting to interact with persons more. As we go forward, we will continue to have these live sessions. We will try to do one a month, and definitely we'll see more of me in the communities coming up soon. So starting from October, I do believe we will be doing some community sessions. Come out prepared to ask questions, prepared to share. We'll probably start small and do some intimate sessions with smaller groups of persons, but as we go on, it will become, we try to cater to larger crowds. But with larger crowds, I find that I'll be speaking to persons as opposed to persons speaking to me, so I really want that kind of interactions where we can dialogue together and I can get your views and make sure that those are represented fully. I know for far too long I've heard from so many young people, myself included, where we feel as if though what we think and how we feel and the things that are important to us don't matter. That the persons in position of power don't necessarily listen or care to listen to the things that are important to us. And during youth conference, there was a phrase that stuck with me, and it said, "Don't consult, only to ignore." Because far too often, you will find that people come and ask you, "Okay, so what is it that you want? What do you want? What do you want us to provide for you?" And so young people will go out and will say, "Well, we want X, Y, and Z," but when it comes back, nothing that we would have advocated for is in existence. So that phrase, "don't consult, then ignore," is something that I will keep at the forefront of my campaign. I will not consult people and then ignore what it is that they have asked for. So, again, feel free. Any comments, we can have a discussion on any area of youth development. Like I said, youth development it's such a broad topic that everything that affects young people. So whether it's education, whether it's access to healthcare, whether it's employment and job opportunities, all those areas falls under youth development. In terms of job opportunities, I can tell you that that's one of the areas that I'm passionate about, employment opportunities and entrepreneurship. While I may not be in the field of technology, I do see where Angular can expand and not be so reliant on tourism as our sole economy. If we were to start to expand into the area of technology and really tap into the structures that already exist and build on them. And it's going to take persons who have, one, a vision, and two, the willingness to explore new opportunities even if they themselves don't necessarily understand, but surrounding themselves with persons who are in those fields, employing persons who are in those fields and who can best advise on those areas. So that's one of the things that you can definitely look forward to from me, if elected, where I will definitely be looking into expanding the opportunities for young persons in fields outside of tourism. Because so far, persons feel as if though, when they leave school, what are the opportunities for returning to Angular if they do go off to university? What are their options when they get back here? Are they just resign to work in the tourism industry or a tourism related field? Or can we start to provide opportunities and to facilitate opportunities that exist outside of that field? So that is definitely one of my priority areas, just because I have heard from so many young people who would have expressed to me those areas. So soon, I got your message, entrepreneurship. I guess I would venture, because I would have spoken about the area that I can see for expansion, especially when it comes to entrepreneurship. But what area specifically within entrepreneurship would you like to see? And while you think about that and respond, I will say that what I know has been a hindrance to entrepreneurship And there's the Get Set program that seeks to address some of this. I know young persons have a hard time with sourcing capital for starting their businesses. And so the Get Set program is one program that I can see I will continue, I have been, and will continue to support that program so that more young persons will have access to not just funding to start their businesses, but the training needed so that they can be successful in running those businesses. Because you can have access to capital, but if you don't have the foundation on which to build a sound and secure business, then it's all for naught, right? And one of the other things is to also ensure that we have a environment that is also friendly to young entrepreneurs in terms of whether it is streamlining the process for getting whether it's streamlining the process for getting the business license, whether it's assistance with applying for a business license. Those are little things that can assist young persons more in the area of entrepreneurship. So I hope that answers your comment, Simone. Again, I will refer to the lyrics from that song that I opened with. It's our time to make our country shine. It is our time, and not just, and when I say our time, I don't mean young persons in the political arena. I mean young persons in their every aspect of their life. It is truly our time. It is our time to be business owners. It is our time to be leaders. It is our time to be the artists, to be the sports persons. It is our time to really lift this country up and to be a country that we can all be very, very proud of. So there's a question from Zomani. What other industries do I think will help complement our tourism industry in terms of employment for young people? So I will touch on that a little bit in terms of exploring the technology area. One of the things that we enjoy here in England, and I always, I've always heard it, and not that I've given it much thought, because it always seems as if though it's just a political talking point. You've always heard about this economic zone that exists in England. I think it's some 200 nautical miles of waters that exist to the north of England. I think it is for fishing. And we have so many, and I guess it links back to the idea of vocational education, because we have so many young persons who are engaged in the fishing industry, yet what are we doing to properly ensure that those persons are then equipped to explore that area? So it's also interconnected, because young people are entrepreneurs, those fishermen are entrepreneurs, and if we can encourage them to form companies, to find access to funding so that they can have those huge trawlers that go out into that zone. It requires going out for longer than just 12 hours, fish and come back in. You spend days out at sea and you have this huge fishing industry, and it opens up opportunities for them to be able to supply to markets outside of Anguilla. And actually brings me to a very interesting point in terms of youth development and partnerships and trade outside of Anguilla. I would have spent 3 years as a CARICOM Youth Ambassador, and during that time it gave me a greater appreciation for CARICOM, the Caribbean community, and the policies that speak to a single market economy, and definitely looking at partnerships with our regional counterparts. With everything that's going on now in the UK, the turmoil with Brexit, and the UK leaving that European Union, we are now understanding why it is so important to have partnerships of our own as a country. And so if we are able to explore that 200 nautical miles of fishing zone, and we can have our own people be the leaders of exploring that and opening ourselves up to our markets and being able to have trade agreements up and down the Caribbean, it gives them a better opportunity than to say go and invest in a trawler, and then you're coming back to a small market like Anguilla. So we have to look at strengthening partnerships throughout this region, and CARICOM extends from, it includes not just the physical islands in the Caribbean, but the huge land masses of Guyana and Belize in Central and South America. So those are huge markets that we can tap into if we utilize the resources that we have. So in a nutshell, that is just another area that we can look into. But again, this dialogue has to be a two-way street. It can't just be, I'm not the only one with innovative ideas. It is going to take a collaborative effort of young people coming together with those innovative ideas. The one thing that I can appreciate about not just us as transitioning youth, but the younger persons, is that they are so innovative. You know, the rate at which technology is advancing is lightning speed. And so as the generation who would have grown up with that technology at their tips, and the developers of that technology, I think we have to harness that from them. Not exploit it, but harness it and give them a space to grow and develop it in a safe and comfortable environment. So Zoe, I hope that answered your question. So just a few key points to go over. We are still in Youth Week, and on September 30th, which is Monday, we will celebrate Caribbean Youth Day. So happy Caribbean Youth Day to all young people, not just in Anguilla, but across the region. And again, during this Youth Week, there was a very emphasis on the creation of a new youth policy for Anguilla as the one that we are currently operating on. It has been implemented since 2003, so that's about 16 years. That's right, yeah, we're 19, yeah, about 16 years. And so it's time that we have a new one. So seek out avenues to ensure that your voices are heard. It is very important because this policy will direct where governments focus their energies and where they will put their resources into young people. So you want your voice to be heard, this is the opportunity to do so. So we'll continue to have these conversations, and if there are any further questions, now would be the time to ask them. If not, you can always feel free to leave a message on the Facebook page, or you can send an email to glenevah2020@gmail.com with any comments, any questions, and I'm always happy to address them and get back to you. So whether it's during a live session or I just respond to you personally, I will respond, and I look forward to more of these sessions with you. And again, I will leave you with the song, It's Our Time to Make Our Country Shine. Good night, y'all.